Good morning, family. Welcome back to the Elevation Podcast. I am your host, Rick Ortiz. Happy Friday. Happy spooky season. We got some colder weather in San Antonio. We got some cold fronts, right?
Cool weather and cool people.
Cool weather and cool people. There you go. That's the headline to this one. So I haven't had my coffee yet. But my man here hasn't even been to sleep. So we're gonna kind of get into it a little bit. So I have some pretty special guests today. Very excited to have them here. This is the first time Cody has woken up at 6 or been awake at 6 since middle school, right? So he's I guess I mean something to him. So that's pretty exciting. Bree is always up at 4 a.m. Allegedly. So, but yeah, guys, thank you for being here, man. Pretty excited to get into today's topic. Today we're going to talk about, staying true to yourself among success or anything that you go through in life. We're going to kind of get into some details, get to know these guys. And a lot of people know who Cody is, know who Bree is. You don't know their story. You don't know, where they're from or any of that. Me and Cody go way back. And I feel like me and Bree go way back, even though I've known her for a little bit of time. One of my best friends. So... excited to get into it. So, Cody, thank you for being here. Bree, thank you for being here. Let's start off with a little bit of a serious talk. Let's talk about mortgage, right? So both of you guys are involved in the mortgage scene.
Yes.
You guys have been around and seen some crazy stuff happen to the market, right? So, Bree. So let's talk about interest rates. Just took a spike, right? A lot of people are pretty afraid. I got a call from one of my older clients yesterday. He bought about a year ago, and even him, he was like, I don't know what to think of the world right now, right? I don't know where we're headed. I see interest rates are spiking. What are your thoughts on, the reason why interest rates are spiking as far as today?
Sure. So there's a little bit of history behind that. It's not as cut and dry as, interest rates are just increasing. The short of it is, for the last couple of years, interest rates have been low because of a global pandemic. Mm-hmm. And people took advantage of the lower interest rates back then, and as they started to increase, you can't have low interest rates forever. Mm-hmm. It is bad for the economy. Too much growth is not necessarily good for the economy. And so we had to slow down consumer spending some way. Anything that is trickled down to consumers comes from the federal governments, their rules, their regulations. When they increase interest rates to the secondary banks, that follows to the consumers. Yeah. So Fed's increasing their interest rates, trickles down to the consumers. We have to remember that interest rates still really aren't that bad. They were 100%. In the 16% and the 20% in the 80s and the 90s. And a lot of first-time home buyers are really frustrated, but there's a lot more history behind interest rates than just they went from 2.75% to 6%, 7%. Right. And unfortunately, we're also not receiving any news that it's going to get better by the end of the year. Right. There's two really just economic factors, and Cody, if you want to chime in, but there's inflation and then there's recession. Yep. So inflation is the increase of consumer pricing. Higher pricing means people spend less most of the time on luxury goods, but then when it starts affecting stuff like groceries and gas, people just start spending less, and because people are spending less, businesses, small businesses, different industries are affected, and then it impacts and causes a recession. Yeah. Recession tends to lead towards lower interest rates. what happens is consumer reports come out towards the end of the year, or end of the month, I'm sorry. And so something that happened in August, the reports really aren't going to come out until the end of August. And then there's people out there that are going to interpret those consumer reports, like consumer spending, gross consumer spending. So really, you don't really see the interest rates following suit until a couple months after that.
Kind of
Historically, 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth equal a recession, but we're not going to see that for another couple of months. The interest rate thing, I mean, it's tough for everybody. I think people are going to be more mindful of whether they want to pursue purchasing a house. I don't think that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. If your lease ends at the end of November and it's the best time for you, cool, let's look into that. But I totally respect everybody being fearful. It's our job to walk through and to navigate whether it's a good decision for them or not. I think there's a really short phrase that a lot of people in the industry are using right now, where it's marry the house, date. What is it? I don't even date the rate, marry the house.
Date the rate, marry the house.
Okay, so in turn, they're trying to kind of water it down to you're not going to have
date the rate, marry the house.
Yeah.
That is solid.
And so they're trying to water it down to you're not going to have that interest rate forever, and eventually you can refinance. And I think that's a really good baseline. If buying a house right now isn't the best for you, then it's not the best for you. And I think that's really the end of it. Is talk to somebody and have an educated decision.
For sure, but get the right information.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't take into perspective that when you buy a home, if we're comparing it to renting, you're just gonna keep digging if you're renting. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, again, nothing against anybody that wants to wait and rent. My ideal situation for everybody would be to buy and, like you said, date the rate, right? Marry the house.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty dope. So a lot of people don't take into perspective that when you're buying a home, it gets to the point to where you're, like you said, you can refinance, right? Like, let's say 15 years down the line, you didn't date the rate and rates get better, you refinance. Now you're in a whole better situation than you were 15 years prior to that, So now you have some equity. Now you can take out a home equity loan if you needed to invest in another property. You can, So what are your thoughts?
I think it's kind of a twofold question. I think a lot of people, they're nervous about the housing market right now. Those are the same people that I see you guys out at the club buying bottles, popping bottles.
Facts.
And hey, we have a great time popping bottles together. So more power to you.
For sure, yeah.
But I talked to my grandfather about this because I think this is one of the first recessions that we'll see in our adulthood. Right. And my grandpa said something really profound. I was a little concerned too, and he said, "Mijo, when times are good, we eat meat. When times are bad, we eat potted meat."
Yeah.
So all you need to do is live within your means.
That's it, bro.
I think people are really, really quick to forget a year ago today, everybody was bidding $50,000 to $100,000 over asking price for a house. Houses weren't appraising, and consumers had to come out of pocket in order to meet that appraisal gap, right? But now with rates shooting up, it's more affordable for people to buy houses, get in. There's not as much of a bidding war. I did see that consumers a year ago qualified on average for $250,000 more just based off of the interest rates.
Damn.
So interest rates are still a big topic, but you have to take the good with the bad. And like Bree said, marry the house, date the rate is something that's really going around right now. There's a lot of solutions that you can still find in it, but just make sure you're living within your means. If the mortgage payment is really something that's super important to you, maybe instead of going out to, back in our day, what was it, Club Rio, maybe instead of going out.
They should have named it Club Cody.
Maybe instead of going out to the club so regularly or the bar so regularly, you'll go ahead and maybe scale back on those things.
And it's interesting because we like to think of money in terms of science and numbers. It's really a psychological thing, right? What money and a lot of money means to you means a totally different thing for yourself. We had, your team and I had a client a few months back. He had purchased a new build before home prices started increasing, and he was going to get a beautiful house for like 240, 250. It appraised for like 300 off the bat because the time between him going under contract and it building, the value increased. We were conditionally approved. I had like one more condition, and he just walked. He said, you know what, I want to live my life like this, and I don't want this house. And we were on the phone, just like, how is that your decision? And people think about money different ways. Buying a house isn't for everybody. I have a house, and I'm just like, I liked apartment life. I liked getting to call somebody to change my light bulb.
For sure.
And I think, we have to respect people's purchasing decisions and just make sure that as long as we're acting with integrity of providing them the right information in the best way possible, then we can sleep soundly knowing that we provided that.
For sure. Yeah. I have somebody in here put, that's two things. Somebody put let's go Hobby Hawks.
Oh, let's go Hobby Hawks.
Who is that?
Let's go. Who is that?
Tori.
What's up?
What's the Hobby Hawks?
So I went to Hobby Middle School. I went to Hobby Middle School at the end of my middle school career. Tori was one of my close friends.
Hobby Hawks.
Looked out for me. I haven't talked to her in ages.
Let's go. She's on, bro.
Hawks,
She's on it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. The other person, Jake put, we were spoiled by the 2s and 3s and 4s for so long. People felt it was the norm. So right now I have a question. And if you guys have any questions, throw it in the chat. We're kind of just going through it. So with higher rates now on a VA loan, would it be beneficial to refinance?
It's not going to be beneficial for somebody to maybe refinance and save money on interest. But let's say you've been in a VA loan for 15 years.
True.
You pay down a lot of principal and you're looking to get a lower payment. In certain cases, you can obtain a lower payment by stretching that mortgage out another 30 years.
True.
However, you're going to end up paying a lot of money in interest.
Gotcha.
So it really just depends on like what your situation
right.
is. And that's something you can take a look at.
Yeah.
There are still a lot of good options out there. And it's something just it'd be smart for you to run it by a mortgage professional.
Right, just to kind of go over your options. And that's one of the biggest things that I explain to all my clients and everybody that does ask me, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to refinance? Is it a good time to sell? And my answer is always going to be yes. And the reason being is because your situation is probably only going to get better if you even thought about it, right? If you thought about doing something, the thought of it's like, okay, you've already pretty much made your decision that this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
But you just need a little bit of confirmation from somebody and education and a little bit of info to confirm in your mind that this is what I'm going to do, right? So, you said.
I also see a lot of people start the process of looking into mortgages too late. We have a lot of individuals who want to start looking at buying a house a month before their lease ends.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts and requirements for mortgages that will either optimize your terms and your conditions and consequently your mortgage payment, but also just the doing stuff that could actually make you qualify. I think we see a lot of people who want to wait until they feel it's the right time to buy, and we're not being salesy when bless you.
Sorry guys, allergies. Promise, it's not good.
We're not trying to be salesy when we're like, yeah, get with us. It's just, hey, I've seen too many people who could have used the time that they were in a lease in a smarter way, or they also feel like they know what they need to do. And I think people are smart, and I think for the most part they have really good tendencies towards understanding the concepts. A lot of times what we see are people start the process too late, or they don't want to talk to a mortgage professional because they think they know what they have to do.
Yeah,
But
or there's also sometimes the ones that are like scared,
yeah.
and it's like we're not gonna tell you yes or no. We're gonna help you.
Yeah.
You know.
And so for me, it's just getting you on the right path and making sure that you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
There's so much like, well, my grandma said you needed 20% down. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And that's a comment, like you'd be surprised how much
Yeah.
I still hear that. You
And
really at the
it's-
minimum need 3% down.
Yeah.
Or they think they need a 700 credit score. Well, depending on your program, you really only need about a 620. And then after that, you're not penalized nor rewarded for having a better or worse score, depending on the program.
Right.
And so it's just combating a lot of noise that really isn't true. I like that. Like, I like somebody telling me like, well, I know that. No, you don't. It's not true.
There's one more thing in our industry, honestly, that I feel like kind of ruins it for us a little bit too. I have this happen regularly, especially with close friends. I have a lot of close friends in the, that they go through the process of buying a house, but they go through with, let's say, unfortunately a bank, or they go through with a lender that may not care that much.
Yeah.
The next thing
That's
you
the best way to
know,
put it.
somebody comes in and fills their head with, no, you can't do it. And then they run across somebody like a Bree. And Bree ends up stepping in, taking care of them like they were a brother or sister, walks them through the whole process. And they're like, wow, I feel like with Bree, I could have bought a house 2 years earlier.
I had somebody who met with one of my other agents, and we did a face-to-face, all of us together type of consultation. He waited 2 years to go back to the thought or the idea of buying a mortgage because 2 years ago, a builder lender told him no. One, and I love my builder community. They have different rules, right? Everybody has different rules. Somebody that told you no, that could have been with them, right? I looked at all of their numbers and there was no reason that they could not have bought 2 years ago. And if that was between 2020 when interest rates were 2.75 and right now where they were creeping up to 6.5, that hurt their generational wealth. And so it's stuff like that. And we always talk. We have a lot of individuals who do want to look into new builds. I don't care. I know what I'm up against. I know that there's really great incentives for those new build communities, some of which Aligned has. But I think I've remained true with providing the same service, whether I know, you tell me up front, like, hey, they're going to look at this builder and I know you can't compete with them. I don't give less service because I know they're going with someone else.
Not at all.
Because there's too much going on between the time that contract is signed and the home is completed. The home could increase price. They could have misqualified you. There's been a couple times, especially over the last few months, where you've called me and been like, yo, that client that you said this was going to happen and they weren't going to qualify. Well, this happened and they're not qualifying. Cool. I still have the file. I still know exactly which piece the lender didn't agree with the baseline rule or whatever. But like that's our job.
That's one of the first questions that you do ask me whenever I do bring you a client that got denied or something by a builder, right? You asked me, okay, so what was the reason why? And I asked their lender if they've already applied. Most people that I get that reach out to me that want to get pre-qualified and stuff and have questions, if they've already been to a builder before, obviously we still try to get them pre-qualified and stuff. We actually closed the deal, and he wanted to go with this builder. He had already been pre-qualified with you, great file, no issues. We went to the builder was like, we probably can't do it. And so I'm like, that's very weird. Bree's never told me that somebody was good to go unless they were good to go. So I called Bree. I'm like, hey, just FYI, this is what we've done, right? You already knew where we were headed. I'm not going to throw out the builder's name, but we were there. And Bree was like, okay, so is it my turn or what? And I was like, well, yeah, 'cause I'm just calling to make sure that you double check the file. And she's like, I double checked it already. Like, I double checked all my work.
Conditionally approved already.
Yeah, we're already in there. She's like, what's the address? What's this? What's that? And sure enough, about halfway through the process, I think it was like a 5-month build. We were like 2.5 months. The builder was reaching out again and was like, yo, like, what's up? Like, is everything still good? And I called Bree, and Bree's like, nothing's changed. So, I mean, did he quit his job? Did he? And I'm like, no, he's actually getting a raise. And she's like, well, better for us. Like, I don't understand why they're calling and asking
and
that.
there's just different rules for different lenders, and some lenders have higher rules. Really, one I don't get, and maybe you understand, I think a lot of builders have a specific rule that, like, if you've had a late on an apartment, it's like an automatic no.
Yeah.
And that's not a rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a personal preference type of
Yeah.
thing.
So there's every lender and every organization out there has a different risk tolerance. And, one thing that our companies prided themselves on is our underwriters underwrite true to guides. And our underwriters work with us, and we have freedom to be able to have a direct line of communication with our underwriters and to be able to problem solve and work through files together.
Right.
I think one thing that's super important for consumers nowadays, and it's crazy that it doesn't happen regularly, is I don't think consumers truly interview the professionals they're working with. But and by truly, I mean get to know their heart, what they're passionate about, their morals, what they stand for, and even get to know what their experience level is. The refi boom brought in a lot of people that were brand new to the industry, good-hearted people, not saying anything, but still in a training curve.
For sure.
And so I do think it's really important for consumers or anybody just to make sure they're interviewing.
Yeah.
I had a real estate agent a couple weeks ago get mad at me for not ordering the inspection.
Say their name.
Oh,
No.
Never mind. No, just kidding.
Drop
Don't
it.
do
For
it.
not, they got mad at
She needs some
me
more of this. She'll
for
drop the name.
for not. I promised I was going to behave.
Yeah.
They got mad at me
This is
for not
PG-13.
ordering an inspection. I'm like, girly, that's your job.
Oh gosh, that's tough.
And so, it's not, I think I'm happy that over the last couple of years, we've had the opportunity because so many more people were interested in buying houses and investing in real estate. That gave so many people the opportunity to educate, right? And step up. Some people did and some people didn't.
Yeah.
But it sucks when it sucks when you know that like that real estate agent sucks, and it's not. I don't think anybody is trying to suck.
No.
But some people just and it's funny because I've had people that have been in the game forever, and it's like how.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know what? I and this is why I preach heavy on getting with the right organization.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm not saying everybody come hit me up, right? I am not by all means the #1 real estate agent in the world in San Antonio in Texas.
To your mama you are, though.
Yeah, to my mama thinks so. But I will tell you that I genuinely put a lot of hard work into my agents, into my clients, into my LOs, my friends, my family. My circle is not very, very big, but the circle that I do have is surrounded with people that believe in me, and the biggest thing is I getting with the right organization is huge. So back to what you were saying, real estate agent kind of getting upset because you didn't order the inspection. It's like, okay, well, if that falls back on the leader, I'm not saying anything about their leader or anything, but you should, if you're getting involved in real estate, like you said, right? Interest rates brought a lot of new folks, a lot of new faces into this industry. When I joined, it was in the 6s and the 7s already. So when I got involved in real estate, it was like, hey, here we go, Prices were still a little bit lower, but at the same time, I got a little taste of that higher percentage, So I got in, and then interest rates got better, and I was like, yo, like this is nice. Yeah, this is crazy. Like, oh, you want to buy a home? Cool, let's go. Like,
And that's the other thing that we hear all the time. Oh, I'm gonna wait for house prices to go back down because they think that that situation's going to be better for them, right? Well, so we're in a recession, and we will be in a recession. There's a difference between a house pricing recession and a house activity recession.
Yeah.
We're not in a house price recession.
Correct.
Appreciation is still going up. Even if you waited for interest rates to go down 0.5%, the price of that house is still going up.
I'm glad that you said that, because I tried to explain that to people,
A lot of people too, what they don't see is that there may be more houses hit the market in between 500,000 and $1 million, but houses that are in between 150 and 250,000, affordable houses, they're still flying off the shelves.
Oh, like nothing, bro.
So it's, I mean, I really think that it just boils down to, hey, if you find a home that you like, you're happy with your rate, just let's go ahead and sign a contract and lock it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of factors that go into it, and more importantly, I think it just depends on what the goals are for that family that year.
I agree. Yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more, both of you. It's a crazy industry we're working in right now, but we have to take it day by day. Things change every single day. So
one thing that's crazy about Bree that is probably one of the
One
most
thing?
unique
one thing. Let me tell you my list after that, because
Bree is like the calm in the storm. Rates went up 2% today.
Yeah.
Bree's like, hey, so let's come up with a game plan.
dude, she's just like that.
Game plan driven.
Dude, she is, bro.
There's sometimes I have to check myself because
Same.
I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably calm down a little
I
bit.
just-
You know what's funny though is
What?
I'll think that way, right? I'm like that too, and I'm like sitting there like, shit, like, this is getting
getting rough.
crazy, it's getting rough. And then I get my phone rings and it's Bree, and she's, hello, and I'm like, oh damn, like she's got a game plan. She's got a game plan. And
I think it's just, and I haven't been I haven't been in the industry very long, but you start looking at trends, right? And I was very, very blessed to have one of my first mortgage opportunities with somebody who was very data driven. You start looking at the data enough, and it's, you start looking at trends and tendencies. People are going to buy a house whether it's with you or not. They're going to. If they have the capability of doing it, they're going to buy a house. You might as well just take the extra step of following up, right? But interest rates are interest rates, and you have to play the game. People are still buying houses. First-time home buyer purchases last year were 29%. Now they're about 28%. So first-time home buyers are still purchasing homes.
Still happening.
Investor purchases have increased to 1 out of 6. It's there. It's just changing the game plan, and preparing for the market. And it's scary, but that doesn't mean that you don't do it or you don't make a game plan.
Yeah.
for sure.
Because somebody could have a conversation with us right now and be ready to go summer of next year, right? I'm not about getting everybody into a home this month. I'm about getting everybody the right game plan so that they know exactly what they need to do.
For sure, yeah, that's the biggest thing, is just finding out where you're at, getting on a game plan. If you aren't in the industry, if you're not a real estate agent or a loan officer or some kind of anything involved in real estate, and you think that you know what you need to do to qualify, I'm telling you right now, you probably don't. You've researched some stuff, and you probably know a lot. But if you just reach out and get the right info, ask the questions, we promise we'll just provide you with the right stuff, right? So,
What else is cool about me?
Yeah.
A lot.
We'll save that list for the next podcast. But yeah, we got a good amount of people in the chat. Clarissa's here. She says Briana and Cody have changed the game. So appreciate you being here. If you're happy with your rate, lock it
sorry.
in. That's what she said.
Are we done with
Veronica,
mortgages?
yes, we are, but I'm gonna add this real quick. Veronica put, yo, Briana was the LO for my listing that just sold. Smoothest transaction ever.
Let's go.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really,
Shout out.
it's really,
Shout out Veronica.
Thanks, Veronica.
So let's kind of get into a little bit of a different topic, right?
Okay.
So, Bree, you're with Align Mortgage. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So for a small portion of this year, I guess you could say, you went to another company.
I did.
Right? You went to gold.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't gold. It was silver. Nah, I'm just playing. Nah, I'm not saying. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, she did. Nah, I'm just playing. All right, so you came back to Align.
Yeah.
Right? What was the reason for the leave, and what was the reason why you came back? Let's start with why did you leave?
Yeah. So I knew this question was going to come up, and so I was like, damn, what is it that how do I say it right? And
Boy Jake put bronze at best.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. Okay.
Y'all are wilding out in the chat.
So,
Wow.
so around May, I decided to transition out of Aligned.
Dude, people are just going off.
Okay, stop, y'all.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's.
Turn the phone around.
Oh, Brian Ray.
It was gold
It's my
plated.
boy.
Okay, so there's a couple of reasons. There were some that were a little bit of like they had been on my mind for a little bit. Aligned was really the first place where I was actually originating. I had worked at another mortgage company before, but this was like my first like actually in the game place. There was a little piece of me. So when I started on a different loan officer team, which we're not even going to get into that. February, Valentine's Day, this loan officer gave me attitude. I said, no, sir, we're not doing that to me. And I bounced.
She went with the 2-snap.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny is back then I thought the thing to do was just call Chris Cano. He was in California, and I was just like, hey, can we talk? He's like buying buildings and setting up the San Diego branch, and I was just like, hey, can we chat? It's like I'm not doing this here with this person. And then the next call was Cody, right? And he's like, hey, like, join my team. At that time, back then, Cody was bringing the business in, putting fires out, handling business. And then it was me and Heather, and we were doing all the pre-qualification stuff. After that, we separated into pods, and then I started actually originating. For a little part of me from that time had always felt like, and then it was 2019 and 2020 where I had really good years, right? And a little piece of me had always felt like people thought I was doing good because you gave me something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing.
Yeah.
And then we went through business changes. I had at the time I had gone from having Carly as an assistant, which you've been with Carly,
Shout out
right?
Carly.
The game is over
Gangster,
if Carly
gangster.
ever decides to originate.
Oh
Carly's
my
a thug.
gosh.
But, so I had gone through those changes. There were frustrations, and I think I was just at a point where it was just, fuck it, let me try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we, to be fair, I had my conversations with the people who meant them, a lot to me here. Not that other people didn't,
Right.
but we had the conversations. And I said, I need to try something else.
Yeah.
And I will be the first to say I was wrong if I decide to come back.
Yeah.
And I
You
came
know what?
back.
You know what's super dope about Cody and yourself, like you said, right? We're talking about staying true to yourself, staying humble. And Cody is the type of person that you could be somebody with no job. You could be somebody that is an 18-year-old that needs some advice, or you could be somebody that is a vet in the game, and you can call Cody, and Cody's gonna talk to you. Bree's gonna talk to you the same exact way. You know what I'm saying? So, when I first met Bree, I was actually struggling for a loan officer, and at the time I was like, I was still trying to figure myself out. It was my first year in real estate, in general real estate.
Hit me up on Twitter.
So,
Hit me up on.
what's your Twitter?
You hit me up on
yeah,
Twitter.
I did, yeah.
And I was like, bro, let me get you with Brittany Carly.
Yeah. So, bro, I showed up here, and me and Cody kind of went back and forth. I had seen a lot of people talking about Cody being a good loan officer. And like I said, at the time, I was still trying to figure out, and in general real estate, how everything worked, right? Because prior to that, I was working for a builder for about 2 years. So I hit up Cody, and Cody was like, yo, just, come by, we'll talk or whatever. So one day I was here and I was meeting another agent just for a meeting, right? We had some coffee, we talked. And I was like, yo, like, I didn't even know we were meeting at a line first and foremost. Like, I pulled up, gave me the address, and I was like, yo, like, I think Cody's here. So then I went to the front, and girl at the front desk was like, yeah, Cody's here. So then I came up, and it's funny because the way you explained it was 100% true, because I walked in, there was pods. Cody was there with a fire extinguisher putting out fires, and everybody else was doing things, like it was crazy. It was chaos in here because there was a lot going on. But he was like, yo, come meet Bree. So we sat down, we talked, and the rest is history. Like we just kind of rocking and rolling from there. We've all had, our journeys and stuff like that. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. As far as like us meeting each other and stuff, it's been a short but long road in this partnership, I guess you could say.
But it's also been just very natural.
Yeah.
And I think, I have referral partners who have been with me for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I have referral partners who have fired it. Can they fire me? They fired me, right?
I've been fired too.
Yeah, but you know what? I think the thing that makes me and Rick work really well is we have honest conversations with each other. He'll call me, and I always know when he's gonna give me some criticism, because he's very like slow to start talking about it, right? And then he like checks on me like, oh, so how are you doing? Yeah. And when it just so happens that every time I'm like, look, like it's been a little rough, I'm going through this transition, and he's like, yeah, I felt it. I was like, cool, let me step my game up, right? Yeah. But going back to like the transition and stuff, so I left May.
Mm-hmm.
I got bombarded like 2 weeks later. Cody and Steph asking me to come back, and I appreciate every opportunity that's given to me. Yeah.
Describe bombarded, because it was like every other day.
Yeah. So, well, it doesn't help. So Steph is my neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Steph is my neighbor.
By the way, for context, Steph is, gotcha. By the way, for context, guys, Steph is like, if I'm heads, she's tails. If I'm peanut butter, she's jelly.
Okay.
She's been with me since day one. And so me and her have the same brain. And she is Bree's next door neighbor. And both of our best friends.
Yeah. Her son watches my dog. Like it was always going to be hard for me, and I didn't want to ever tether my relationships. But like 2 weeks later, I'm getting calls, and they're like, "Hey, come outside." come outside where?
Come back.
So I walk out of the building that I was in, and Cody's there, and Steph is there. And we're sitting on the couch.
Borderline stalk.
There's cameras in every corner of this building, and I'm like, yo, this isn't smart of us. But I was given an opportunity, and I wanted to see it through. At the end of the day, it's not about talking shit or anything. I thrive in environments that are positive, with people who are like-minded, who are going to challenge me. And I don't do well in negative environments. And I've sacrificed. So I could have done mortgage. I could have become a loan officer in a very different way.
Yeah.
I could have immediately gotten my license and had at it. I chose to work under somebody making $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 to make sure that I knew what I wanted my brand to be.
For sure, yeah.
So for me, I had sacrificed a lot of potential money to make sure I was good at what I did.
Yeah.
So I have the choice on who benefits from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had our issues, and we've I've was honest when I left about the reasons I was going to leave. And I tried it, and I'm here, and I was wrong. But if I'm if I'm gonna do business, I'm gonna do it with my family.
Yeah.
Fam bam.
100%. Bam bam. But yeah, it's
Even
not,
when they
it's
piss
not,
me off.
It's not always about the money, right? Especially when you get started in this industry. A lot of people think, it's go sell a home, get paid. I don't need anybody. Every man for themselves. There's enough for everybody to eat, So.
And I think that's when, Cody coming from a steward level, a lot of individuals and a lot of loan officers or other mortgage companies, they like to brag that they pay their loan officers more.
Yeah.
I went to a company that at the time was going to be paying me almost double what I was getting here. And shame on me, because my mission and my values, I sat down at one of Matt's goal setting classes a couple years ago. Matt De La Cruz.
Yep.
Winning Minds. And I wrote out
shout out the business.
Yes.
Winning Minds, let's go.
Yeah. He's going to have a seminar on... anyway, I sat down 2 years ago and I wrote my mission statement out. And my mission statement was to empower as many families as possible.
Yeah.
And it was never to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So shame on me for misaligning myself.
Yeah, now you're aligned.
Hell yeah.
She was misaligned, now she's aligned.
I think one of the craziest things about just the mortgage industry as a whole is, as you go through it, you see so many different sides of it and so many different aspects of the industry, and most people end up just coming back to, hey, I just want to be happy. I want to be surrounded by people that care about me, love me.
Yep.
When I went from being an originator to one of the partners at Align Mortgage, a lot of different things changed. It goes from it's all about me to now it's all about the team. It's all about people, and it's just such a mind shift, right? So I think that Bree came in at one of the most pivotal times. Yeah. And so when I lost her, it cut deep.
Yeah, that hits home, bro.
Cut so deep.
It was hard. You were getting like condolence texts.
Oh my! It was hard for me to talk to you on the phone.
Bro, I know.
Yeah. And the first thing that everybody always asks when somebody leaves a company is, hey, what's gonna happen to the referral partners?
Right.
And I was like, no one call any of her referral partners.
Yes.
That's our homie.
Yes.
Let her do her thing.
Yeah.
We love her. Yeah. And I think a lot of times the mortgage industry can kind of like rip people apart. But like in reality, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. See, and that's why I have a lot of respect for you, bro. And it's you even taking that extra step to tell everybody, yo, like just relax. You know what I mean? Like that's our homies. She's family. Let her do her thing. Regardless of what she does, we're gonna support her. Do we agree with the decision? No, but we'd rather have her here. But we're gonna be there to ride with her no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
And so I spoke with all of my referral partners, my close ones about. It's always hard. It was. So my first mortgage company that I was at was Legacy, and a team had left, and they had left in like the middle of the night, and I was like, what a fucking dick for not letting us know, right? And it wasn't, and thankfully I've had the growth and the wisdom to be like, oh, I see why it's so difficult to transition, because it's always going to be a difficult transition, right? Yeah. And so I understood that, and it's hard to make an announcement like, hey, I'm going to quit tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's always weird and it's always awkward to just make that transition. Yeah. But I spoke with my close referral partners, and everybody was just like, cool, I'm rolling with you, right? Yeah. And I think you told me you were okay with it, but maybe you weren't very okay with it.
You know what? I told you, I remember when us having that conversation, and I was like, yo, whatever you decide to do, I'm rocking with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't matter if you go to Joe Schmo Mortgage, I have grown myself with Aligned, so. Yeah. With you. So as far as me, you know, I have to transition too. You know, it's not just just. I mean, we've had a lot. You know, so for us to make that transition, I say us because we're a team.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna rock with you no matter what. So it is what it is. But
I think that's what's so special though about what Bree brings to the table.
Yeah.
Is there are a lot of loan officers out there that, you know, are intelligent. There are a lot of loan officers out there that are charismatic.
Yeah.
You know, you don't find a lot of loan officers that are really in it for the long haul. I used to say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to real estate agents, when it comes to loan officers, you know, don't be in the business to date each other. I feel like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
realtors, they team up with somebody for 3-4 months and then it's like, all right, on to the next one.
Or days right now.
Yeah,
Days,
right
you know?
now it's
Yeah, and that's something that's it's disheartening, right? It's
Yeah.
you know, I have coaches and I have business coaches, and it's just like, yo, like you don't quite understand sometimes like why somebody meets with you face to face and is like, yeah, I'm gonna use you. And then there's a selfie with somebody at a steakhouse the next day, right?
Yeah.
And
It's like, yo, it's cool. It's cool if you don't use me.
It's
like,
all right.
it's good.
you
But don't
have
lie to me.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to. You told me to my face. Like,
it's dating, right? A lot of this feels
Yeah.
like dating. And when you're not used to being rejected, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you didn't
for
even give me an
sure.
opportunity. Like, come on, man. Yeah, for real. I can change. What
It's
do
not
I
me,
need to
it's
do?
you.
Yeah, it's you.
So, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, it's one of the like things that I don't
Yeah.
like love about the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, and I think a lot of it is just the whole like, oh, today I'm talking to this lender, and then tomorrow I'm going out with this lender, and then this other lender's hosting my open house, and then this other lender's taking me to the lake. And it's just like,
Wow.
it's weird, right? It's
Yeah.
weird. And I always have to think, and I think there's certain times where you and me disagree with maybe how to like chase referral partners or what we have to do for it. And at the core of it, and I've had to change my mindset a little bit. I've always thought of investing time as a resource, energy as a resource, or money as a resource. Any time, energy, or money that I'm investing into a random individual who hasn't even given me the opportunity to earn their business and is expecting that stuff
Yeah.
is stuff I'm taking away from you.
Correct.
Is
Yeah.
stuff I'm taking away from Sarah and Brittany and Haley. And that's the piece out of everything that I don't feel right about.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Because y'all gave me opportunities and didn't ask for anything out the gate. You know what I mean?
I still don't. I don't really like.
Yeah.
I mean, we've become very good friends.
Yeah.
And that means everything. So, Cody.
That's a pretty big shift, you know. I remember the phrase that we used to use all the time on Home Team. It was always, "Hey, go deep, don't go wide. Don't cast the big net trying to get all these agents.
yeah.
Just go deep with a few, and you'll see them take off."
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you. So we're here. We're back at Aligned, right?
We are.
Hell yeah.
How did you get into mortgage, and how did you get into Aligned?
So I was running these poker games. My dad had passed away, and when my dad passed away, I came back home. I was playing baseball in East Texas, and
R.I.P. Pops.
R.I.P. Pops.
Yep.
You too, Daddy. And I came back. I started playing poker around town. That was me and my dad's pastime. It made me feel really, really close to my dad.
Oh, that's dope.
One day I'm at a poker table, and backtrack to 7th grade. My dad got really into poker. He comes home late one night. Him and my mom argue because he's coming home at, let's say 2 a.m. He comes sleep in my room. I said, "Dad, why are you coming home so late?" He said, "Man, I was at a poker game with Lino Cano." And I kept hearing, from that day, I kept hearing the name Lino Cano at all the poker games. Flash forward, I'm 20 years old. Dad just passes. I'm at poker games to really cope, and
Yeah, for sure.
made me feel good. Big pastime that we had. And I'm across the table from a guy who's bluffing me, calling me whippersnapper. I don't know who he is. And he's actually being pretty mean to me. And the guy says, "Hey, how'd you hear about this game? Who let you in here? You shouldn't be here. You're a kid."
Damn.
And I'm like, well, my dad used to play at these games, and my buddy, told me about it. He's like, who's your dad? Well, I'm sorry, the dealer asked, who's your dad? And I said, Joe Carasquillo. They used to call him like Joey one time.
Oh, nice.
And the dealer stops dealing, looks at me, and is like, that's your dad?
What?
And I'm like, yeah. The guy that's sitting across the table starts bawling, crying.
Are you serious?
Stands up, comes over to me, and he says, hi, my name is Lino Cano. I was one of your dad's best friends.
What? Bro.
And I
just got chills thinking about that right now.
I got goosebumps because I had heard this guy's name my whole life.
Yeah.
And he was the one person that my dad had always brought up that was at these poker games.
Yeah.
So I followed him around everywhere. He was a professional gambler at the time. And I actually dropped out of college.
Oh, damn.
And started to do my best to hustle at poker games.
Yeah.
And win money. Mom wasn't too happy about that. One day, his younger brother comes into town and says, hey, you're pretty charismatic. You got a good head on your shoulders. I'm going to open up a company when you come, and you're going to work for me. I say, yeah, whatever, man. Get a phone call at like 8 a.m. one day. I'm still passed out from who knows what from the night before.
Yeah.
Guy on the other line is Chris Cano, and he's like, hey, meet me at Staybridge Suites. I show up. I don't even remember the interview. They hired me on the spot. First day of work, they turn to me and they ask me a question in front of a class of 15 people. They say, what's your job as a loan officer? And I said to open up checkings and savings accounts. The whole class laughs.
Oh my God. I thought you were joking.
The whole class laughs, and he goes, no, for real. And I say, no, for real. And from that day on,
serious, guys.
From that day on, every day was a grind.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got to where I am today, but thankfully with Paul Perez, I was his LOA for about 6 months. He taught me a lot about the military. I'm embarrassed to say this, but he one time asked me, hey, how many branches are there? Yeah. And I said, there's 3, Air Force, Army, Navy, Air, Land, and Sea.
Yeah.
He about jumped across the table because he was a Marine.
Oh,
and I left out the Marines.
Bro, you left out the only one he wanted to hear.
And so, I paint that picture because I was as green as it got, and our company specialized in VA loans. I have a family full of military members. I don't know anything about mortgages. I mean, who goes to school for mortgages?
Yeah.
No one.
No.
And here I am working for a military organization trying to become a VA loan specialist, and I know nothing.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. So fast forward to today, right? You went through all that. That's freaking empowering. I'm a big believer on destiny, and everything happening for a reason. So the fact that you were going there to cope and that scene that you just explained, bro, gave me chills. It makes it seem like it's out of a movie, dog. Like
out of a movie. We talk about it to this day, and it's so crazy to me because I think I just God had placed the right people in my life at the right times, and I just found a passion that, once you see like that single mom close on her home for her kids the very first time. There's like something about that when you're like, man, I helped, bro. That just it does something weird to you,
It's a weird feeling. I can agree with you, 100%. That feeling that you get that you genuinely are the reason why this person is taking that next step in their life.
Absolutely,
it's crazy. So let's backtrack a little bit to the 7th grade the 7th grade boy you were talking about, right? So you used to dance.
Oh yeah,
right.
So I'm a humble kid from the south side of San Antonio. I was raised by.
Do you have any clips of you dancing?
So I.
Do you guys have one? You have one? Let's see. Do you, for real?
There's some on Facebook. I'm pretty sure there's some at talent shows on Facebook.
Is there? Because
in the south side of San Antonio, when you're quiet.
Look.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, hold up. There he is right there, look. Oh my Lord.
I think I was in like 6th grade at the time. Wow. Shout out to B-Boy Wizard. Shout out to Ninja. Shout out to Birdie. Wow. Huh? That was that Armed and Ready Dance Crew is what it was called.
Look at him.
I think I was in like 7th grade at the time. Same shit. I think I'm still the exact same height too.
You're a fool.
That was down at Market Square.
Oh really?
That was down at Market Square.
That's
and
dope.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, right? But when you're quiet, I was raised kind of quiet.
Yeah.
You know, I think I came out of my shell at a point, but
Someone put you were ready to jump and you got served.
yeah, I think I like dancing, but I found out that dancing actually put me in front of girls.
Yeah?
And so we would go to these quinceañeras, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to impress the pretty girl that I
And
wanted.
you know what you did? Like a lot of girls knew about you because of your dancing too. So it got you out there.
It got me out there, but I still didn't. I still was a little too shy to say anything to him. That's where you came in, big dog.
Hey, let's not talk about that. Let's not
Whoa,
bring
whoa,
up,
whoa!
that's the old me.
Hold on.
That's
That's the old him. That's the old him. But funny story is
there.
back then
didn't know.
we actually used to go and crash quinceañeras.
Yeah.
And at the quinceañeras, we would end up dance battling.
Yeah.
And there would be these big groups that would come to these quinceañeras. And it was just a huge thing, and it was an ongoing thing. I think the dance scene was much bigger at the time, but that's where I met Rick.
Yeah.
And while I was on the dance floor, Rick was always over there cheering me on, but he always kind of had his arm around a girl like, hey, I know you think he can dance, but I'm cool, you know?
Man, that's hilarious, dog. Yeah, we used to go to quinceañeras, and the dance scene was huge, bro. Like
It was crazy.
That's when movies like You Got Served and Step Up, you know, crumping became a thing. Like it was, the dance scene was huge. So it was dope to just. It felt like a family, you know what I mean? It was dope. It was dope to go and see in every single dance event, quinceañera that we would go to, you would see 4 or 5 different crews there. And it was like, oh, yo, like Cody's here or so-and-so's here, you know?
I remember Daniel Carrillo.
Yeah.
I remember, I remember so many people.
He mentioned that when we had him on the last podcast.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember Rich Rodriguez. Who else? Man, there's so many people that are now real estate agents, but that was such a tight-knit community.
Was, yeah, bro. It was so dope. It was, man, just great times, you know? So, man, so fast forward to today, right? Do you ever still dance for fun?
Yesterday.
This morning.
This is funny.
Saulo put on, what was it? I don't know. What was it? Egyptian Lover. And
Egyptian Lover.
My man put on a show this morning.
It's so crazy because I dance when I'm nervous. So yesterday I was nervous and I started dancing. I dance when I'm excited.
But when he dances, you can't tell that he's nervous, right? Like he just
I think he's making excuses to dance.
And you know what? I think so too. And Bree's sitting there this morning. It's funny. He starts dancing and Bree's like, "Stop it."
Yeah.
I see, but you know, I need to appreciate those moments more. I went 4 months without the like.
Oh, look,
pop.
Daniel put, "I'm undefeated versus Mumbles. I don't forget breakdancing."
You're right.
The old
You're
times.
right. You're right. Hey, Daniel had moves.
Look, my wife put, and then Tori put, "Rick about to be in trouble when he gets home."
No. One thing that was really cool is so when we were younger, I don't know what it was, but you would dance battle, but for some reason, whoever came out winner, the other crew always had like, you know, beef or it was nobody was a good loser. So people were sore losers, but we always ended up having like a crew of people behind us.
Right.
Where it was like, hey,
yeah,
we're some rowdy 8th graders.
Yeah, relax.
You know, take it easy.
Check yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, if we're being honest, you were beating everybody back then, though. Like, there was a lot of times we go to places and there was like okay, like this guy might give Cody a run for his money. You were like, I think at the time you were battling a lot of not older people, but people that were in like freshman, sophomore, and you were like smacking them up, bro. Like, did you practice a lot?
I would practice all the time.
Yeah,
so
see.
we, you know, I went through a lot of different dance crews. You know, there was Armed and Ready, I think was the first one. NXG was a huge one. Shout out to Marcus and everything that he's done with that crew. The Eurythmics with AJ Hearns back in the day was crazy. Shout out AJ.
Yeah.
He's going to become a realtor.
Bro. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. He's
Getting
selling
real estate
cars
license.
right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still doing his thing, bro. He's been doing it.
So
That's what's up.
You know, we everybody just loved to dance, and I mean, it was a good community.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't dance, you just came to hang out, and that was just that was.
Well,
the
it was
spot.
just cool. It was just cool to be around, to see, and everything. The scene was dope for sure.
And there were so many different forms of dancing. You know, there was the hip hop, and there was, you know, the popping and the break dancing, but then there were some really, really dope cumbia dancers.
Oh yeah.
And I mean,
Bro, they would just go off.
you know that one song where it's like, mama, 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 mama.
Damn.
You would see some of the craziest dance
Yeah,
moves
just go.
to that song.
They would just go off.
And
once
so-
that song came on, bro, they were shutting it down.
It was done.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I wasn't the best cumbia dancer, but there were some guys out there that, I mean, they just had
got
some
down.
crazy rhythm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was nuts. It was fun. Man, it was just great times. Did you dance or no?
I was in ballet.
Yeah, let's go.
I
So
could-
ballet, right?
Yeah.
Are you from here, from San Antonio?
I'm from the Valley.
From the
I'm
Valley.
a 956
There you
girl.
go.
Yeah.
from the
Which is why, like,
Valley.
I think, like, we talk about, like, South Side,
Yeah.
and I'd be a South Side girl.
Yeah,
You
you're
would.
not-
You
Yeah,
would.
we
Yeah.
always talk about, like, we would be tight in high school.
We would have been so tight in high school.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's one reason, though, why working together in the mortgage industry has always been like so fun between us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's been like, I mean, it's gonna stay fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna stay
Yeah,
fun.
so man, we got a good amount of people in the chat. Don't forget Crumping. Cody was always the center of attention at middle school parties. Mumbles over Birdie. Brian put, you know, the South Side held down the cumbias.
Brian was a really good dancer too.
Look, Brian put the little dancing emojis.
Oh my-
Golly, bro.
Excuse my
So
cough.
you haven't been to sleep.
Have not.
What's the reason why?
One, I'm a terrible morning person. I am really working on it. Bree, you know, is pushing me every day.
He's not working on it right
I'm trying my best, but when I knew I had to be up at 6:30, I had, you know, one or two options, and I went with the first option, which
Just
was
stay
pulling
awake.
all-nighter.
Yeah, damn.
I went to a poker game last night. You know, there came a time where I was like, I could probably go home and maybe catch like 3 hours of sleep, but then I was like, who knows if I'm gonna wake up or not. And
Yeah.
so I decided to power through it.
So you're still hosting. So did you host the poker game, or you just went and like joined one?
This is one like a friendly one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So this one we ended up hosting, me and a buddy of mine named Sam,
Mm-hmm.
Sam Vasquez, really good dude too. He actually is a really good cumbia dancer. He had cumbia kings at his wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. That's
And
live.
That I don't know, banda or cumbia kings?
Yeah.
Cumbia kings, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Get you jumping.
You had random questions that
I
I
do.
really wanted to
I
answer.
do. Okay. All right. So
I'm done with this dance shit.
because you were in ballet,
Yeah.
that's why. All right. So let's just kind of get into a couple of interesting questions. So if you had to, Brie, I'll start with you.
Okay.
If you had to erase all the memories from your life, all of them, right? All of them out
Okay.
the window, but you had to keep one memory forever,
Damn.
what would it be? That's deep.
Shit.
That's deep.
Where are the Kleenex? One memory. Probably with my grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
My grandpa's, they're older and
Yeah.
they're just, it's not the same. My one regret is like not listening to the stories that my grandpa, like not really remembering the stories that my grandpa told, right?
Yeah.
He was a Marine and he would share like all of these crazy stories, and shame on me for like not remembering them.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was funny. So what me and my sister used to do is we would, before, like, this is viral on TikTok now, but I used to do this in like high school. We would like just pop lyrics up to like some hip hop song and tell him to sing it, and he would just like sing a hip hop song.
dope.
He didn't know what he was singing.
Yeah.
He would just like sing it, and I have all of those videos on an old phone that I don't have anymore, but probably
Man.
something with my grandparents.
That's good. That's good. I love my grandparents as well, and I lost my grandpa, and that's one of the
R.I.P.
Yeah, man, R.I.P. Pops. He's been such a big influence on my life, so I couldn't agree with you more on that memory for sure. What's a memory that you would keep if you were to get rid of all the memories?
Man, it's tough because
It is tough.
it would probably be this one. My dad really liked to go hunting, and we went hunting one day. We went up into like a 25-foot blind, and there was when we went to the campsite on the ranch, everybody was huddled around, and they were talking about this huge hog. They'd never seen one this size, and that it was roaming around on the campsite. And people put up a bet, like $300. It ended up being like a pot of $1,000 or $1,200 or so for whoever shot it. So we go up in this blind. My dad is there. The feeder goes off, and this huge hog comes walking up. And as the huge hog comes walking up, this is the first time that I've ever been hunting with my dad. And so he pulls his rifle up. He says, "Grab your binoculars." I grab my binoculars and I say, "Dad, I'm scared. I'm scared."
Yeah.
He says, "Cover your ears." I cover my ears and I walk back. As I walk back, the latch to the blind opened up.
Oh, dog.
And I start falling out. My dad is like this, and he's about to shoot, and he drops the gun, saves my life.
Dude, that is nuts.
Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
So the memory that I remember about that is when we got down, he was really, really like distraught.
Yeah.
We ended up going back to the campsite, and somebody else had shot
Right.
the hog.
Damn.
And so they won, the
Yeah,
$1,200 prize or whatever.
Yeah.
So when we were driving home, I felt really, really bad, and he was trying to cheer me up, and I was just not having it.
No.
So then a Beyonce song comes on, and I'm a dancer, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yes, we
I'm
know.
a sixth grade
We know.
dancer at this point,
Yes, you know.
and it's "Can You Keep Up, Baby Boy? Can You Lose Your Mind?" So my dad starts singing it to try and make me crack up. And so I'm like trying really, really hard not to laugh,
Stay serious.
to stay serious. And I look over and it's, "Can you keep up? Baby boy, can you lose your breath? And your toy, can you lose your breath? And your toys, can you lose my..." And as soon as he did the...
I lost it, bro.
I lost it. I start cracking up, and he just leans over and he says, "It's just a hog up. I love you. I'm just glad you're okay."
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah,
a memory
bro.
that I don't think I would ever let
That's
go.
dope, bro. That's dope, man. That was deep. That was deep, but that's super dope, bro. That you remember Pops, that moment. I think for me, the moment that I would never would keep dear to my heart, if I had to erase everything, it would be the day that my son was born. It was like a crazy feeling. We were in the operating room. It was a crazy scene. It happened so fast, and it's just something I'll never forget. Like me and my wife, we've been through a lot, and it got to the point to where we were just like, man, like, it's in God's hands. We'll see, where this takes us and stuff. And yeah, man, it was just such a beautiful thing. The feeling that I got when I saw that my son was born, I think it was to me, it still seemed unreal. Like literally holding my son in my hands, I was like, yo, like this is not such to wake up, right?
Yeah.
It literally was like, it was weird. Like it was just a feeling that I had to tell myself, like, no, like your son's in your hands. Like you actually have a baby boy now. You know what I mean? Because so a lot of people don't know. A lot of people do know that my wife and I, we had a few miscarriages. We went through some extra care and stuff like that too. So as far as our baby boy, he's our rainbow baby, and that's the best feeling. And seeing that, was the first thing that Saldivar told me this morning when I pulled up was, man, you love your baby boy. And I'm like, man, I do, man. It's crazy.
Did you want a boy or girl?
I wanted a boy, bro.
You wanted a boy?
I did. I wanted a boy. I wanted a boy. I was okay with whatever, God gave us. But I did want a boy. Blessed me with a boy. And I think my wife says a couple times, and a lot of other people that have girls, a lot of my other boys that have baby girls, they tell me, hey, like, you love your baby boy, wait till you have a baby girl. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna love my kids regardless. But they're like, no, you don't understand. You have a baby girl, it's a little different. Yeah, so just think about it. I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, man, that's my experience, and that's what that's something I'll never forget. So another question. So top 3 people, famous people, famous or not, I guess you could say, you've never met, alive or dead. You get to meet them, interview them, and have a serious conversation with them, right? And I'm not talking about family members, any of that. I'm really relating to famous people, right?
So 3 celebrities.
Who are your top? 3 celebrities. Who are your top?
That you've never met, that you want.
Yeah, that you would like to meet one day, sit down and have a conversation with, maybe pick their brain or whatever. Who would be your 3?
Y'all are real quiet, or no?
I have mine. I can say
you have?
mine.
Yeah, say yours.
Okay, so my number 1 would be J. Cole. My number 2 would be Kobe.
Ooh,
yeah,
strong.
And
strong.
Yeah, bro. And my number 3, who did I have on my number 3? I was talking to our group chat yesterday about it, and I think my 3rd would be Conor McGregor. That'd be my 3rd. Yeah. So I got 3 pretty strong-minded people, and I have my reasons for all 3 of them, but mainly because they're all driven. They all have their different personalities, obviously, right? But Kobe and J. Cole, so RIP Kobe, but Kobe had this just dog in him where he knew he was going to outwork you. Bro, I saw a scene the other day. I shared it. It was a TikTok, and it blew my mind. And it's an interview with Dwayne Wade and LeBron, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the Olympic Games, right? It's the Olympics. And Bron and Wade are talking about their experience with Kobe that game. At the time, Pau Gasol was on the Lakers with Kobe, right? I think they had just won a championship. They were playing Spain, so Pau Gasol was their starting power forward for Spain. Yeah. Kobe goes into the huddle and he says, hey, first play of the game, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's going to end with the Pau Gasol screen. And he goes, I'm going to run right through that motherfucker. And Wade and Bron are like, y'all are crazy. You're crazy, bro. And he's like, and he repeats it. And he says, look, they're going to do this. They're going to pass here. They're going to pass here. They're going to end it with the Pau Gasol screen.
Yep.
I'm going to run right through his fucking chest. And they're like, no way. And then they play the clip, bro, and he just trucks Pau Gasol, right? And Pau Gasol hits the floor, and Pau Gasol's like, what the fuck just happened? And he looks over at Wade and Bron, and he looks at Spain. He's letting them know, like, hey, I'm going to do anything it takes to beat you guys. So don't for 1 minute think that Pau Gasol's on y'all's team. I'm going to take it easy. I'm about to work you dudes. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, but that's part of the reasoning why I would like to meet Kobe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But those are my 3. So
we were just talking about
so yesterday we were talking about one of the books that is one of my favorite books is Relentless by Tim Grover. So Tim Grover was the physical therapist for Michael Jordan and Kobe. And Relentless is a book that I think there's certain books there's certain business books that kind of like, they're always just like, well, take your time and plan stuff out and set your goals. And Tim Grover's like, if you want to fucking do something, right? And it's just like, it's a feel good, like pump you up book. And so he trained, or he, I'm done talking. There's too much sport talking though.
Yeah, you
I'll just meet. Everybody you want to meet, I'll
tag along.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mr. J. Cole, like, how's it going?
What's up,
Yeah.
Connor?
Okay, I guess, do you have one in mind?
So Derek Jeter.
Oh, bro, Derek Jeter, dog.
I
It's
would
more sports.
love to meet and chat with Bad
Same.
Bunny.
Oh, yeah, that would be super dope.
I'd like
too,
to
bro.
chat.
Do you know
and-
Spanish?
No,
No,
so I'm
he
actually
doesn't.
She knows Spanish.
I'm actually Puerto Rican. My grandfather is born and raised
First
in
I
Puerto
hear.
Rico, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't speak Spanish.
Same.
But the crazy thing is lately, so I went to the Bad Bunny concert.
Uh-huh.
I love his music.
I saw you on the floor.
But-
You're wilding out.
Dude, going crazy.
Almost took your top off.
Yeah.
No, it was live. I'm not
It
gonna
was
lie, bro.
live.
It was so dope.
Ever since Bad Bunny came out, I've been listening to nothing but Spanish
Yes.
music, and I don't know the words.
Listening and singing. What was the Superame? What
Ya
was it?
superame.
He's singing this for like 2 hours.
Hey, I
He's
know the
just-
whole song. I don't
he's-
know anything he's saying.
He's
though.
singing it, and then he comes up to me. I was like, "Hey, I've got like a mortgage question. Do you maybe want to do your job and help me out?" Doesn't. Keep singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, what does it mean?"
Yeah.
It's like, if I answer this,
Can you
will
help me
you get my answer done?
Bro, that's the funny thing
Okay.
about Cody, man.
So I
Next
think
question.
Hey, so someone told me, has anyone ever told this guy he looks like Wilmer Valderrama?
is that the guy from Fez?
I don't.
Yeah.
That's Fez, right? Yeah.
Fez,
So many people
dog.
have told me that. So many people have
So
told me that I
many.
look like Fez.
Dog, that's crazy.
So when I was younger, I got Fez,
Uh-huh.
and I got
That's nuts.
some people said I look like a Mexican Chris Brown. I think that's just because I dance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten Fez a lot.
That's dope.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing. He's a very handsome guy, right? Do you think? But no, not Cody. I know Cody's.
I'm just
handsome.
thinking about
Cody's a
him
handsome
from
guy.
That's So 70s
Yeah.
show,
Right?
and I'm like,
No, so so he had a different image in that 70s show. Because
Yeah.
it was funny because I didn't even know that was Fez, first off. So when
Yeah.
they asked me that question, I looked him up and I was like, okay, handsome dude. And I was like, wait, is that Fez?
Cody?
I was like, wait,
Cody,
is
is
that
that
Cody?
you?
yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the questions.
Okay. Next question.
All right, next question. Did you have a childhood nickname?
I've just always been Bree.
Just Bree?
Just Bree. So it's always weird when people say, you say it sometimes, you say my full name.
Mm-hmm.
My mommy calls me my full name when I'm in trouble. And that's
Just
all.
straight.
Yeah,
You
and
have a
if
middle name?
I'm extra, so my middle name is Danielle.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I knew that.
Because if I was a boy, I would have been Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister's middle name is Renee, because if she was a boy, she would have been Renee. So I've just always been Bree.
Yeah. Do you have a nickname?
So my dad's nickname for me was Gordo, because I was
Oh, okay.
chunky until I was probably in like the 5th grade. The name that I guess some of the people in the dance world called me was Mumble,
Mumbles. Yeah.
after the movie Happy Feet. And
Oh,
then
damn, yeah.
ever since then, I've just always been Cody J.
Yeah. That's dope.
What about you, though?
No.
I've heard Slick Rick.
Mijo, Slick Rick.
I
yeah.
heard Slick
yeah,
Rick a
actually,
lot.
a lot of people
We
call
have
me that.
nicknames
A
in
lot
our
of
group
people.
chat.
Yeah, we do. Oh,
We
no,
can't
we're not
say
gonna
them.
get into it.
Yeah.
Golly, we call. We give Jake a lot of names too.
Yeah.
Right? Like we give
Jake the
Yeah,
rattlesnake.
Jake the rattlesnake. I'm not gonna
What-
say.
what was-
I'm not gonna say.
don't say my
all of them.
nickname.
No, I'm not gonna say them. They're a little
think I already
bit.
know
yeah,
it.
we're not gonna say them. But all right. So next question.
Okay.
Do you have something on your bucket list that you wanna accomplish or do? Well, I guess what's your next bucket list item that you would want to check off?
Yeah. I'm just kind of really, so I've just been for the last few like months, and I've met with Mike Morehouse. I've met with my business coaches. I'm just trying to figure out like, how do I accomplish my why? And really at the core of it is, I think my parents always used to say, like, we only want, as long as you and your future is better than our current circumstances, we know we did our job, right? And
Those are great
you know, they are, they're fab. But coming from the Valley, just finances weren't really a talk. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, I didn't even realize that there's so much more than just like saving money and having a checking account and having a savings account and having, like, I thought I made it when I bought my house.
Yeah.
And then I'm speaking to Carly and she's like, well, my financial advisor. And I'm like, what the fuck? Carly's 26.
You have one of those?
She has, at one point she had 2 houses. She's on her second house.
Jimmy
She has
Neutron.
a financial advisor. And I'm like, what does this white girl know that I don't?
Yeah,
She's on
She's
another
fab.
level.
She's fab.
She really
but
is. She's full of knowledge.
point is, I trained her.
Yeah.
Point is,
She trained you a little bit too.
Y'all train each other.
yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, she's smart. At this point, she's better than
Yeah,
me.
she's
But point,
Everyone. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's on her level.
Me either.
no.
Yeah.
Point is, I just, if my parents were in an okay and pretty good circumstance, and that was stuff that they didn't know about
Yeah.
and didn't pass on to me,
Yeah.
then how many more people in San Antonio and in the Valley are in worse off circumstances, right? And we
Yeah,
see it
for
all the
sure.
time. People who are in their 40s buying their first home, renting for 14 years,
Yeah.
right? So right now for me, my journey is just figuring out how to impact everybody in the best way possible. I think eventually, I think it would be really dope to have like an aligned pop-up in the Valley.
Oh, that would be
Because
super
you
dope.
have,
That would
your
be-
grandparents are in McAllen.
That would be live. Yeah, that would be cool.
And
That'd be
so
real
I
dope.
just, giving back and going down to the Valley. And I know that's in like 5 years, that's what I want to
In
do.
the future. That's
Oh
dope.
my-
Yeah. That's
We're gonna
super
make it
dope.
happen.
Yeah, we got to.
I'm stoked about that.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Stoked about that.
Yeah, that'd be dope. What about you? Do you have anything anything on your bucket list that you want to check off this?
My big
Soon.
immediate one, and it kind of got derailed. If my grandpa's watching, I hope I don't ruin the surprise. But I really want to take the family, my sweetheart, Briana, shout out boo, love you. Shout out, love you boo. I want to take my family, my son, my grandparents, my mom. I want to take everybody to Puerto Rico.
Nice.
That way, my grandpa can show us around, and he can show us kind of his stomping grounds. I think that'd be super dope.
Bro, that would be super dope. That would be
Super
a
dope.
beautiful experience, man.
So that's the immediate
That's
one. The big, I guess that's the personal one. The one that I'm really working on right now is we've been recruiting back people that we lost earlier this year.
Yeah.
And getting Bree back was a huge one, but just making sure that we get back the people that brought the vibe to the team and to the company in the first place. And that's something that right now that's high on my priority list.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I guess my immediate bucket list, and it's probably going to happen a few years down the line because we want to wait for my son to get a little bit older. I have never been to Disney World, and my wife's never been. So one of the things on my bucket list is to take my son to Disney World. Let him enjoy that experience and really just escape there for him.
Nice.
But I want him to be old enough to remember it as well. We took him now. He's just gonna be like all the lights. Like there's all these lights. You know what I mean? Like that's all he's gonna do. But
I love that.
that's one of my immediate bucket list things. So
That's dope.
so with the line right now, you do loan originating. Are you still originating, or what do you do?
I do originate and I do have my team, but I would say that falls like third on my priority list. More importantly, I would say that my main priorities are to recruit great talent, train, and then also support the LOs that we have in order for them to accomplish their vision. I'm not gonna lie, I had a great run of originating. I think it was awesome, but I think that, originating for me at this point, it's a lot better for me to do it through people and train people on it to multiply it. One of the dopest things about our industry for me is when the light bulb goes off for somebody.
Oh yeah.
When in the mortgage industry, people suck for a long time.
They do, yeah.
It's like some people, Carly's like 3 months.
Yeah.
It took her 3 months, and she was like, "I know it all."
Yeah.
Other people,
I know something else, man.
Something on another level. She's
Yeah,
amazing. She's such a good heart too.
Yeah, she does.
But I really, really like to be a part of, and not to take credit, but to be a part of somebody's light bulb going off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that I really like to do inside the space is just make sure that everybody's happy. It's a stressful job, so I feel like keeping everybody's vibe up is real important.
I think one of the biggest changes too is, and a lot of people experience it and they never fully adjust to it. And it's also part of the reason why a lot of people come in and out of the industry is whenever you leave, let's say you're doing a 9-to-5 job and you become a loan originator or a real estate agent. Yes, there's more freedom, I guess you could say, but you also have to train your mind to be, how do I say this? Like just organized and
it changes you completely.
Completely.
And the sacrifices you make are on another level.
And that's the thing. You have to be okay within yourself to sacrifice some time and sacrifice different things to do and to get to where you want to be, because if you don't and you think that somebody is going to come, whip you into shape, and you have to whip yourself into shape, you know what I mean? So making that transition to a loan officer or a real estate agent, that's part of the process, learning how to be this new you, because you're not going to change, right? Most people end up changing, but if you want to stay true to yourself, you remain the same, but at the same time, like, you have a whole new lifestyle, so
the crazy thing to me is, when I first got in, you have the agents or the loan officers that have been in the industry for 20 years, and I messaged some of them like, "Hey, would you be willing to sit down and spend time with me?"
Yeah.
Crickets.
Dope.
You know what I mean?
Yes, bro.
People like Martin Tirado, that were willing to take the time and actually pour in. I see you do the
Shout out
same
Martin,
thing.
bro. Yeah, Martin,
I see
Martin's
Daniel do the same thing with so many young agents.
bro.
I see Bree do it, and it's just it's kind of motivating to see, because we all kind of came up together and we all kind of supported each other.
Yeah.
But
it's dope, bro. I preach that a lot to anybody that wants to get involved or anything. And like I always tell everybody, I'm not the best real estate agent in the world. I have been through a lot though. And I can tell you from my experiences, I stumbled and fumbled on a lot of things. There were agents and stuff that I reached out to, didn't want to give me the time of day. In my mind, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to stumble and fumble through everything and learn through it, right? I fell forward. And as I was falling forward, I was learning and gaining experience and stuff. So now I preach that to all my agents or any new agents that's in the industry. I got a random call the other day from some guy who saw my, I don't know if it was on TikTok or YouTube. He saw one of my videos and he was like, yo, just wanted to know if you were taking any new mentees. You seem like a very down-to-earth person. You seem like, you know what you're doing. Do you mind, sitting down with me? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. I don't even know this guy, but I'm willing to sit down with anybody and at least give them the knowledge and the experiences that I've been through, because if I can help the next person avoid a mistake that I made, 100%. I mean, which is the goal of this podcast. The Elevation Podcast was created to elevate your mind, elevate your weekend, elevate your month, and the rest of your year. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully everything that we say and something that has happened and the experiences that we've shared is helping somebody that comes across this video. You know what I mean? So
did you ever think, back when we were at those quinceañeras, we would be on a podcast today talking about stuff like this?
I did not, bro. That's a very, very good question, because, you know, I look at you, and, you know, even though we don't talk every single day, me and Bree talk more than we talk, but, you know, we don't talk every day, but, bro, we could sit here and shoot the shit for hours, you know, and it doesn't change. And that's the part of remaining humble, you know, remaining the same, never changing. I'll never forget where I came from. And, you know, to answer your question, no, bro, I never, it's crazy how our mind shifts now and where we are now on a podcast, right? Talking about life, talking about things, and sharing our experiences to help the next person. But I never thought that we would be here. You know, I never even thought being a real estate agent, I would always see people on TV be real estate agents. I would always see on social media, you know, this realtor does this. And I always thought in my head at first, I was like, you know what, like, that's dope. I think I can do that, but I'm a little bit intimidated. So I'm not going to jump. And then I took that leap, and it was like, yo, I can do this. And I saw other people, and I saw everybody else doing it around me, and not really friends. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends that were doing it. So I like, aside my inner circle at the time, like all my friends, nobody was realtors, nobody was loan officers. I didn't know anybody in the industry. So it was really taking a leap. And when I did, I was like, you know what, if I just meet the right people, talk to the right people, surround myself with the right people, with whatever I'm trying to pursue, you can manifest it, you know? Absolutely. So whatever you decide. So one question I do have, what are we on the timing? Damn, we've been in here for an hour and a half already.
Dude, let's run it. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Cody's not waking up this early.
I'm not going to sleep.
So a question I do have is somebody that wants to get involved in the mortgage industry, right? They see Cody killing it. They see Bree crushing it. What advice would you give to person who has, let's say a person who has a 9-to-5 job, they got a decent living, but they've always thought about pursuing the LO role and getting involved. They don't know. They think loan originating is opening, checking, and savings accounts. Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody that wants to get?
I would, I would look past everybody hyping up the financial piece of it.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to have succeeded, and I mean still work on succeeding, but I would look past the finance piece of it, because there are some days where it's 11 o'clock at night. No, you know, me and Carly are calling Cody because we don't have a clear to close on a closing tomorrow, and look, the money's not going to get you through those times, right? You really have to be okay to like take a pounding and be ready to do it the next day, right? And I think I've had past clients say they want to get into it. I've had past friends say they want to get into it. I've had random people that I've met at like hangouts say they want to make the money that they think we make, and we do make. But look past the finances and see which piece you really enjoy. I started out on the real estate side. I didn't like the real estate side. At the time, I wasn't as confident as I am now, and I think the easiest go-to was to be a buyer's agent. I'm such a decisive person that I don't get why somebody wants to look at 5 different houses. I'm like, this one has a door, this one has a roof. Cool. Do you want to put an offer in? And that's my personality. And thankfully I ended up on the mortgage side. I didn't plan on entering the mortgage side. I wasn't intentional about becoming a loan officer, but I'm excited about problem solving and advising people. And so my advice to somebody who wants to get into the industry is really look at what it takes, because there's a lot on the line, and like, man, you know, we're not perfect. You know, we've all had deals go sideways. We've had stuff in our control and out of our control. And the piece that kind of frustrates me sometimes, especially with the last 2 years of everybody being a real estate agent and everybody being a loan officer, is there's a family on the other side of this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've had stories of people, we've had instances where people have lost $8,000 in earnest money because the real estate agent didn't know what they were doing, and the loan officer kind of just said, fuck it, it's a deal,
Yeah.
and moved forward.
Yeah.
And not to say that we don't mess up because we're
Yeah.
human,
Correct.
but any mistakes or any downfalls, I can truly say have never been because of a lack of character
Yeah.
or integrity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so really understanding like this is serious, and it's, for me, the closings, we don't get paid until somebody closes.
Correct.
We'll be honest about
Yeah.
that. That's kind of like 1/3 of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I don't put somebody on a good game plan, right? And I think we see it a lot, and you have it a lot. We just had one yesterday where they're like, hey, I applied,
Yeah.
and nobody got back to me. Truth be told, they probably didn't get back to you because you weren't ready right now. That's like such a shitty thing, and
It
that's why
is.
people don't like us,
Yeah.
right? Don't like loan officers and don't
you
like
know
real
what's-
estate
You know what
agents.
sucks is that, to piggyback off what you said, the client yesterday, right, applied, didn't hear anything back. I've actually had somebody that has reached out to me before and told me, hey, I applied, didn't get a response, they're not texting me back, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. I'm like, okay, well, where's your score? Where's this? And I'm asking these questions because I can probably tell you why they're not responding to you, which is messed up, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't do that. And they were like, oh, my score's here, my score's there, I have this, I have that. And I'm like, so what's the issue, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe these people just genuinely didn't follow up with you. Or, and I was like, I asked them, did you reach out to that person, and hit them up again? And they were like, no. I was like, well, call them. So they called them. And sure enough, they told them they didn't qualify. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I'm not telling you you're going to qualify, but from what you're telling me, it sounds like you have a decent file.
Is this just
stipulations are over here. Yeah. Stipulations are a little bit different, right? And he came over here, and man, let me tell you, this guy is a real good friend to me. At the time, the qualifications, right, you needed over a 580 score. His mid score was a 581. And 30 days later, he was in a home, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he bought at a great time. It was right before prices really skyrocketed. Interest rates were still decent. 581 credit score. Had been working on it for his family. I remember me and him met a while back, and his score was a little bit lower. So little by little, he started chipping away at it, started working at it. I gave him some advice. He started taking it on by himself. And sure enough, he was like, you know what, I think I may be ready. I'm not too sure, but I'm ready to, get this game plan in line. And sure enough, we got him pre-qualified. And 30 days later, bro, he was in a home.
It was manual. It was manual, and his DTI there. So to give you guys some background, if you don't automatically have a straight up approval, we can still do a manual review of your file, but there's additional rules.
Yes.
His DTI, his front end and his back end.
Yep.
It was because he was buying. Was it a Roush?
Yes,
Coleman
Roush
home?
Coleman.
Roush Coleman home.
Yeah.
It was a new build,
Yeah.
so it fell within the energy savings. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because it was a new build, and because Roush was on that energy saving builder list or whatever, we were able to increase his DTI,
Yeah.
and that's what got him into the home.
Yeah. And
You're a gangster.
he also, we also
I'm so proud of you.
got his,
Thank you for
oh
coming
yeah,
back.
she freaking crushed that, dude. So he also used, and a lot of people don't know, but your 401k, he used a little bit of his 401k. He had some money saved up, but it was also money that he also wanted to kind of keep in the bank. So we entertained down payment assistance programs and stuff like that. If we waited to get his score to where we needed to be, it probably would have took a couple months to get that down payment assistance. But it made more financial sense for him to use his 401k, get that A1 rate at the time, get that A1 price, lock it in, close his deal. Like, he's probably sitting on at least 60 to 80K of equity right now. He bought last year, you know what I mean? So
That's the shit I like.
you know what I'm saying?
go.
Yeah. So we were able, by him contacting me and saying, yo, like, here's what I got. If you can make it work, make it work. If not, lead me in the right direction.
Yeah.
we got him into a home. He's got some equity for his family. Should something ever happen, or whatever, because he's got a couple kids, takes care of his family. If he ever needs anything, he can use his investment. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what some people. So right now, I think a really big challenge, and we've spoken about it, is because price points have increased. A home that the people aren't really loving homes at certain price points that may agree with their monthly payment, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a new build, or it's not as pretty or whatever. I think our job as advisors and consultants is also to talk with everybody about this home isn't just a place you're living in.
Yeah.
It's a vehicle to advance your future in your life. And it may not have the color of tile that you want, but it's a house and it's better than renting.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's I think real estate agents sometimes do a disservice of walking through the $700,000 home and building this pretty picture of everything that you can get, because you could have gotten it a couple years ago, maybe.
Correct, yeah.
But for example, January of 2022, so this year, somebody who had a $265,000 purchase price because of the interest rate change in 9 months is now at $210,000, right? And that's our job as advisors, to talk with people about what it means so that they're ready. They could have been ready January of 2022 instead of waiting until September of 2022. So I guess my advice would just be, have reverence for your job.
You?
I think mine, would be a little bit pretty short. I would say just burn the boats. Best advice I have for anyone is burn the boats. So you get to an island, right? The island is the mortgage industry. You've decided to join the mortgage industry. Don't have your foot half in and half out. Burn the boats. You're not getting off the island. Commit to it. If you commit to it, you'll be successful. If you don't commit to it, you lose a lot in the process. So my best advice is, if you think that this is something you want to do, make the commitment, take the steps forward, find the correct supporting cast, and then from there, blaze a trail.
Yeah.
But if that's not you, and then, really, you probably won't last in our industry. I believe everybody can crush it in our industry. I think our industry for a long time has been one of the best kept secrets that's out there. I personally love my job. I love working with individuals like Bree, Rick. I mean, it really is an awesome industry. But just make sure that if you come into this industry, you're ready, because it'll eat you up.
Yeah, it will. Man, that's the first time I've ever heard that. Burn the boat, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
He's got good little nuggets.
That one was good, yeah. And we're gonna put that on a reel. So but that was dope. Burn the boat, man, because I always say just dive in, but burn the boat is a better way to explain that, because you have to do that, because if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then you're not fully invested. If you're probably gonna, I don't want to say struggle at your 9 to 5 or whatever job that you have, but if you're 1 foot out of there too, you might as well burn that boat too. And you're obviously not happy there, right? So whether it's mortgage, whether it's being a real estate agent, find something that you love to do, and mortgage and being a realtor isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
But some advice that I would give to anybody is just find something that you're passionate about, right? Even if you want to get into being a loan originator or a realtor and you give it a try, it's not for you, that's cool. But make sure that you've gone 100% in this industry, right? Make sure that you burn the boat, because if you don't, then you'll never know your full potential.
Yeah.
And if it's not for you, cool. But find something that you genuinely are passionate about. You wake up every morning and you're happy doing what you're doing, because if you're not happy, then you're wasting days. We live one life, and the only thing we don't get back is time, right? Money comes and goes, friends come and go, and the main thing is we don't get back time. So take advantage of your time, enjoy, time with your family, your friends, but really dive into something, and everything that you do, give 100%, So.
And it's crazy because I feel like, our generation and even some of the younger generations, we struggle with commitment.
Oh, yeah, bro.
And it's like, commit.
Yes.
Commit and you'll be successful. But because we struggle so much with commitment, that's the reason why we tend to blame our circumstances or our environment for why we're in the position we're in.
Yeah, 100%. So we're approaching almost 2 hours. So we'll kind of come to a closing statement. We have to continue to hop on a few more podcasts because this is very, very fun.
We need to do it like every time.
Is this the longest one?
This is the longest one, 100%, bro.
Yeah, let's go.
I even shot Dom a text because usually it's like an hour, bro. But we were just getting started at like 48 minutes, and I texted him. I was like, "Yo, is it cool if we keep it running a little bit?" And he's like, "Do you think?" Because
absolutely, you're on the clock. Let's go.
We have so much to talk about, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I had that I wanted to talk about too. But we could be here all day, so.
We need to do this like either bi-monthly or monthly.
We have to, yeah.
For sure.
And you know what? Maybe we can do, still like I'm just like throwing stuff out there, but maybe we can do me and Dom have been talking about as far as my YouTube channel, giving like a monthly update, right? Like maybe we can do it kind of like podcast wise, and kind of give everybody an update, but along with update on our lives too, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like, we all go through different things, it's cool to talk about what's going on in the world and stuff, like there's so many things I can talk about right now, but
news update, Bria's back at Align.
yeah,
Let's
Bria's
go.
back, we're here, yep, we made it. So yeah, cue the noise.
James,
let's go.
So the last question that I will ask you guys is what advice would you give your younger self, from the experience that you have right now? Let's say younger self is obviously, we got advice from our elders growing up, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad. We never listened to them. Mom says, don't touch this. We're going to touch the hot stove. Grandpa says, don't ever do this. You do it, right? And one of the biggest things that my grandpa left me with, it was crazy, but he called me about a couple months before he passed, and he calls me, says, mijo, one of the things I want to talk. Oh, he asked me, can you talk? And I was like, yeah, of course. What's going on? And he said, do you have maybe 5-10 minutes? And I was like, yeah. He said, okay, cool. So I just want to talk to you about some stuff. You're growing up. You're at the age where you're starting to understand things like in life. And he literally, I felt like he was speaking to my soul, bro. It was like a message from God. But he was speaking to me, and he was telling me to buckle down and do two things. Start realizing, as far as saving money, and realize what I'm spending on. One, at the time I was living with my parents, so I was how do I say it? I was rent-free balling, so wasn't paying rent. Had one of the nicest Camaros out there. Was out balling, bro. I was living. You know what I mean?
Popping bottles,
bro. Popping bottles,
Let's
everything,
go.
bro. So I was living, and one of the biggest things he told me was to buckle down, and he asked me, do you know what you want to do? And I'm like, well, I'm working at HEB warehouse. I'm making, $23 an hour. I'm good. And he's like, okay, well, sounds good, but do you really know what you want to do, right? You're low key. He was telling me what's your next step, right? Figure out your next step, and if you love what you do, cool. But use it to invest in yourself. Save up some money, invest in a house, do this. And he's telling me all from experience. He's like, because I did it. So the whole message and everything behind Align and everything is very close to my heart, because my grandpa never bought a home with his VA, and he didn't know he could. And now being in this industry, had I known that, bro, had I been a realtor 8 years ago, I would have helped him buy a home. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't really know too much of his VA benefits. When he passed, he didn't know what he was gonna get. He wanted the whole military service and everything. We had to do a fundraiser for him and everything because he didn't have everything in line. And the military doesn't tell you 100% of what you really need to know, right? So how to buy a home, how to use your VA. A lot of people don't know that you can get 100% funding for your down payment to get into a home. Right now, there's builders that we partner with that will give you all the closing costs along with your VA, which is going to cover your down payment. So what does that leave out of pocket? Just your earnest money. So a lot of people don't know that. And if I knew that back then, bro, you know, it would be huge because I would be able to help him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, like, what kind of advice would you give your younger self?
The first piece of advice I'd give my younger self would be stop gambling. You're not good at it. You think you're good at it, but you're really not that good at it. I think the next piece of advice that I would give my younger self is, I would just say, younger self, make sure you spend more time with mom, dad, JR, Jasmine, grandma, grandpa, and make sure you just cherish those moments.
Yeah.
Nothing else really matters
Yep.
outside of your loved ones, and so make sure you spend as much time with them as possible.
Yep.
And stop gambling, please.
What would you?
I would just say I think there's been moments where in my heart I was on the right path, but I was scared. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Straight up. That's
That's
straight to it. That's
Cody says burn the boat. I say balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. Let's go.
They both the same thing, though, you know.
Yeah.
So, man, we'll leave everybody with that today. Man, we've had a lot of people in and out of the chat, different, you know, from different industries and just family, friends. We appreciate all of you just hopping on live. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube. Follow both of us, or all three of us, on social media. We're doing some good stuff for the industry. Cody's absolutely crushing it. If you have any questions on, you know, getting involved with a good industry on the loan side or anything, he's your guy. Hit him up. Let him know. He's changing lives. So same thing with Bree. You know, if you have any questions about the mortgage side or anything, me and her work hand in hand. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Doesn't matter what it is. We're always willing to help. So, but yeah, man, thank you guys for being here. It has been, this is the longest episode that we've had. So it's about to be 2 hours.
It's Mimi's time for Cody.
It was, Cody's about to go home and crash for the first time today, or since last night. So, we'll leave you guys with that. Whatever you do in life, find something you love and go balls to the wall and burn the boat. It's that simple. Just give it your all, whether it's starting a business, whether it's applying for a new job. Find something you're passionate about, run with it, go all in and give it all you got. We appreciate you guys being here with us. Like I said, subscribe to our YouTube. We're going to be coming out with some more content and stuff like that. We appreciate everybody, and we hope you guys have a great weekend, and make sure to stay out. See you next time.
Let's go.